Thank you for joining in the first episode of EXP Reviews here with the Oronin. I'm here to provide a personal experience with these great games and these bad ones, because we simply cannot trust these big folks here who think they're journalists for these games. Today I am going to start with Yakuza Like A Dragon for the PlayStation 4. Yakuza has been around for more than 15 years and has gotten more than 11 games, almost all of them being quality titles. I will admit to start off pretty late with Kiwami 1 on the PlayStation 4. I figured it's fair to give the franchise an opportunity, and I just about fall in love with it. The other titles I have played have not disappointed. Yakuza Like A Dragon has proven that the franchise is not going anywhere, as a classic story of rival clans and more continues, with new gameplay elements and characters that are hard to forget. You definitely would think, with a new protagonist away from Kiryu, the story would be completely standalone. This is not the case, as it is a continuation of Yakuza 6, with the anti-Yakuza laws in Tokyo as one of its main conflicts. The beginning takes you to Kamurocho 18 years earlier. You start off with Ichiban Kazuka running errands for the Tojo clan, then ends up becoming the fall guy for a cover-up of a crime committed by the Tojo clan as well. 18 years later, he was released from prison, meeting with Koichi Adachi on the warnings of going back to Kamurocho after the events of Yakuza 6. After Kamurocho, you're directed to Yokohama in the town of Ijincho, where Ichiban meets Yu Nanba, a homeless nurse, and saves his life from a near life-threatening wound. After learning to adapt to the street life for a little bit, he reunites with Adachi later on, and then meets Saiko Makoda joining the party, making her the first playable female fighter, not counting Haruka, in the main franchise. The party runs to a mutually peaceful, but conflicting battle amongst three crime groups consisting of an independent Yakuza clan and a Chinese and Korean mafia groups joining to find out that the conflict goes beyond. I get a lot of moments in past games where many plot twists will give you shocking moments. This is the same thing with this game as well, and you'll encounter veteran characters later on in the game, a little bit towards the end, and definitely not for filler purposes. Even during the end of the game, they have hinted on sticking around for future titles. The biggest change is the shift to turn-based RPG style mechanics with up to 4 player members. The biggest worry for me at first is that it might slow down the pacing of the battles and drag out. I lowered my expectations for this, but I have become very satisfied after playing it through. The first 8 chapters will properly balance the difficulty with your stat level and the enemy AI. It helps with Ichiban's friends to give follow-up attacks on occasion, and fits well with loyalty with your circle of friends. Even building up bond levels will help with how much experience points they will get when outside of the party, and more job opportunities. I'll get to that in just a couple minutes. You'll find enemies with higher numbers, but with good strategy you'll make it. And even though, despite of this, later on in the game the enemy AI will bump up very high. Even on the normal difficulty setting, the buff could be too big, even for RPG standards today. For the most part, you play through the story, and then you'll get to the bosses in chapter 12, and there will be a 20 to 15 level gap between you and them, and you're at a disadvantage. So you're going to have to grind yourself up to that level. It feels mandatory, but it does help out in the long run. It may turn off some players that are main story players, but the side quests and everything do turn out to be much fun. Amongst all party members, you can choose different jobs in battle to build up stats and unlocking skills. Building up job ranks at a certain level can allow you to use some of those skills universally amongst other jobs. So if you keep the canon job for each character, you'll have some helpful movements later on. You have mini games coming up for Yakuza. One is you're a CEO of a confectionery. You're responsible for managing employees to hire, along with assigning employees to properties, upgrading them, turning a profit later on. A lot of throwback to Yakuza 0's reality management without roaming the city, you're just in one spot. After a few business days, you hold shareholder meetings to convince your shareholders that your management is working. It will improve from there and can earn Ichiban some cash to the wallet for weapons and items. Yakuza is just a way of saying the franchise is here to stay, and future main installments can stay in the same direction for gameplay or go back to the beat-em-up brawler for all I can care. Honestly, they both work. The difficulty buff was too high, but I'm not gonna bash RGG Studios. It is their first time handling JRPGs and turn-based style gameplay. I definitely understand how they made the gameplay to incorporate to the canon, and it's definitely in a unique way, but still too good. Even if it is different, it's still Yakuza in heart and soul, and as long as they stay, you get a successful sequel that is debatably a masterpiece.